A high school bully shoved a 14-year-old kid to the ground, right there, in front of everyone, no warning. Just like that, the kid started crying. Not quietly either, full-on humiliation. And then Mike Tyson stepped in. What Mike said to that bully over the next few minutes didn't just stop the bullying. It did something way bigger than that. It changed that bully's entire life. Because 30 years later, that same guy would sit his own kids down and say, "Mike Tyson saved me from becoming a monster." Yeah, this is that story. Catskill, New York, 1984. Catskill High School. Mike Tyson was 18 years old at the time. He was living with Cus D'Amato, training every single day, getting ready to turn professional. His life was boxing. Eat, train, fight, repeat. But Cus had this thing. After morning training some days, he'd send Mike to the local high school. Not to train, not to intimidate anyone, just to exist. Stay social, Cus would say. Mike wasn't even a student there anymore. He'd dropped out when he was 13, but Cus didn't want him growing up surrounded only by fighters and violence. He wanted Mike around kids his own age, normal kids. So during lunch, Mike would sit in the back of the cafeteria. Quiet, eating his food, watching teenagers laugh, talk about football games, argue about prom, stuff Mike had never really lived. Years later, Mike admitted something about those moments. "I felt like an alien," he said. "These kids were talking about prom dates and football. I was thinking about breaking a man's ribs in the ring." Still, he liked being there. Watching reminded him that life didn't have to be all anger and survival, that somewhere out there people lived without constant fear, without violence, without having to fight just to make it through the day. And then one afternoon, everything changed. One Tuesday afternoon, Mike was sitting in his usual spot when something caught his eye and instantly tightened his jaw. A kid, maybe 14, small, glasses a little crooked. Nervous in that way you can spot from across a room. He was trapped near the cafeteria doors. 3 older boys had him cornered, and leading them was the biggest one of all. A senior, Derek Hansen. Everyone knew Derek. Captain of the football team, popular, good-looking. The kind of guy teachers smiled at and students didn't mess with. And yeah, mean. Mike watched as Derek shoved the kid hard into the wall. Books flew everywhere, papers sliding across the floor. The kid didn't even fight back. He just froze. And the rest of the cafeteria? Silence. Kids looked away. Some pretended not to see it. Others just stared at their trays. Nobody stepped in. Nobody said a word. They were scared of Derek. Mike recognized the fear immediately. Being small, being afraid, being completely alone in a room full of people. Before Cus D'Amato found him, Mike was that kid. Back in Brooklyn, he got bullied for everything. Being chubby, his high-pitched voice, the way he talked, the lisp. Kids had a nickname for him. Little Fairy Boy. They stole his lunch money, shoved him around, laughed while he stood there, not knowing what to do. Until one day, he learned to fight back. And once Mike learned violence, it became his language, the only one people seemed to understand. But sitting there in that cafeteria, watching Derek Hansen humiliate this kid, Mike made a decision. He wasn't going to throw a punch. Not this time. Instead, he remembered something Cus had drilled into him over and over again. Fear only works. Until someone stops being afraid. Mike looked at him. "What's going on here?" he asked. His voice was calm, almost friendly, but anyone who'd ever heard Mike Tyson speak knew that tone. It was the same voice he used right before, ending someone in the ring. Derek's friends didn't wait. They backed up immediately. They knew exactly who this was. Everyone in Catskill did. "Nothing, man," Derek said, forcing a laugh. "Just messing around with my friend here." Friend? Did he really just say that? His voice cracked just a little. Enough to give him away. Mike didn't respond right away. Instead, he looked past Derek and down at the kid. The boy's lip was bleeding. One lens of his glasses was cracked. Tears were running straight down his face, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. Mike took that in. All of it. And for a second, the cafeteria felt frozen. Have you ever noticed how bullies suddenly get very quiet when someone stronger shows up? Mike finally spoke again, still calm, still controlled. "That your idea of messing around?" he asked. No shouting, no threats, just a question. Derek swallowed. Hard. "Nah," he muttered. "I mean, we were just joking." Mike tilted his head slightly. "Just enough." "Joking," he repeated. Then he did something nobody expected. He turned fully away from Derek and crouched down in front of the kid. "Hey," Mike said softly. "You okay?" The kid nodded, even though it was obvious he wasn't. And that's when Derek realized something terrifying. Mike Tyson wasn't here to fight him. He was here to talk, and somehow that felt worse. "Is he your friend?" Mike asked the kid. The boy shook his head. He didn't even look up. Mike slowly turned back to Derek. "Then you're a liar." That hit harder than a punch. Derek's face turned red, not from fear, from pride. In front of the entire cafeteria, Mike Tyson had just called him out. And Derek couldn't let that slide. "Who do you think you are?" he snapped, puffing his chest out. "You don't even go here anymore. You're just Cuss's charity case." For a moment, nobody breathed. Derek had just made a massive mistake. Mike stared at him. That stare, the one that made grown men quit before the bell even rang. Then Mike smiled. Not a friendly smile, the kind that said, "I could destroy you, but I'm choosing not to." "You're right," Mike said calmly. "I am Cuss's charity case." That surprised Derek. "You know why?" Mike continued. "Because without Cuss, I'd be in prison right now. Or dead." A pause. "I was just like you, Derek." Derek blinked, confused. "I'm nothing like you." "Yes, you are," Mike said. "You're angry, you're scared, and you take it out on people smaller than you, because that's the only time you feel powerful." Mike didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "I know," he added, "because I used to be exactly like that." He gestured toward the kid on the floor. "You see him? That used to be me." The room stayed silent. "Kids in Brooklyn beat me up every day," Mike said. "Took my money, mocked the way I talked." He paused. "You know what I did?" Derek didn't answer. "I learned to fight," Mike went on. "I learned to hurt people before they hurt me. I became the thing I hated." And then quietly, "And it didn't make me feel better. It just made me angrier." Have you ever noticed how violence never actually fixes the pain underneath? Mike leaned in closer to Derek now. "So let me ask you something," he said. "Why are you angry?" Derek clenched his jaw. "I'm not." "Yes, you are," Mike cut in, still calm. "I can see it. Same way Cuss saw it in me." He studied Derek's face. "Something at home? Your dad? Your mom? School? What is it?" For a split second, Derek's mask slipped, and Mike saw it. The hurt, the fear, the pain hiding behind all that cruelty. "My dad," Derek whispered, so quiet only Mike heard it. "What about him?" Mike asked, his voice softer now. He hits me," Derek said. "Every time I mess up, every time I'm not perfect." His voice cracked. "So I don't know. I guess I take it out on other people." Mike nodded slowly. "I get it," he said. "But here's the truth. That just makes you him." Derek's eyes filled with tears. Right there, in front of everyone. The toughest kid in Catskill High was crying. "I don't want to be like him," Derek whispered. "Then don't," Mike said. "You've got a choice. Right now." He straightened up. "You can keep being this person, hurting people, pretending you're strong by making others feel weak. A beat. Or you can be better." Mike placed his hand on Derek's shoulder. Not threatening, not aggressive, supportive. "You want to know what real strength is?" Mike said. "Real strength is apologizing when you're wrong." Derek didn't move. Real strength is protecting people smaller than you, Mike continued, not hurting them. A pause. And real strength is breaking the cycle. Derek slowly looked over at the kid he'd been bullying. The kid was still on the floor, watching everything unfold, like he didn't quite believe it was real. "I'm sorry," Derek said, his voice cracked. "I'm really sorry." The kid blinked, shocked. Derek bent down, picked up the scattered books and handed them back. "I shouldn't have done that," he said. "Any of it. I'm sorry." The kid took the books with shaky hands, still scared, still unsure. Mike helped him to his feet. "You okay?" Mike asked. The kid nodded, unable to speak. Then, Mike turned toward the entire cafeteria. "Anyone else here being bullied?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, 3 more kids raised their hands. The room went quiet again. Mike looked back at Derek. "You know what you're going to do," he said. "You're going to protect these kids, every one of them." Derek listened. "From now on, if anyone messes with them, they come to you," Mike said. "And you handle it, a beat." "Not with your fists," Mike added. "With your words. You understand?" Derek nodded, tears still running down his face. "Say it," Mike said. "I'll protect them," Derek said louder this time. "I promise." And what happened next shocked everyone at Catskill High. Derek Hansen didn't just stop bullying. He became the opposite. He started sitting with kids who ate alone. He broke up fights. He called out other bullies. When people asked him why he changed, Derek would say, "Mike Tyson knocked some sense into me," without throwing a punch. 2 months later, Derek finally told a teacher what was happening at home. His father was arrested for domestic abuse. Derek moved in with his aunt. Started therapy. His grades improved. The anger faded. Years later, in 2003, Derek wrote Mike a letter. By then, Mike was retired. His career was over. His reputation complicated. But the letter was simple. "You saved my life," Derek wrote. "I was becoming my father. You showed me I didn't have to. I have 2 kids now. I've never laid a hand on them, never will. That's because of what you taught me. Strength isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting them." Thank you. Mike Tyson is known for a lot of things. The knockouts, the controversies, the chaos. But this moment, in a high school cafeteria, shows something people forget about him. Mike understood pain, he understood anger, and he understood that violence doesn't break the cycle. Compassion does. That day, Mike Tyson could have knocked Derek Hansen out with 1 punch. Everyone expected it. Derek probably did too, but Mike did something harder, something braver. He reached inside Derek and pulled out the hurt, the fear, the humanity buried under all that anger. Because anyone can knock someone down, but it takes a true champion to lift someone up. The kid Derek was bullying. His name was Timothy Morgan. He graduated valedictorian, became a teacher, and every year he tells his students about the day Mike Tyson taught him something important. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just wear a t-shirt and sweatpants and show up when you need them most. Derek Hansen. He became a counselor, works with at-risk youth, helps kids break cycles of violence. And in his office, there's a framed photo, him shaking hands with Mike Tyson, taken 20 years after that day in the cafeteria. Because the strongest punch you can throw isn't with your fist, it's with your words, your compassion, your willingness to see the hurt in others and help them heal. That's the knockout that lasts forever.